Hello, sir. Thank you so much for your time. It's like a fan moment for me. 25 years in industry, but this was my one moment I always manifested and dreamt of interviewing Mani Ratnam. So thank you so much for this. And thank you, Hasini and the Madras Talkies team. So couple of days to release. What is happening? What are the emotions playing in your mind?
Just before the release, it's all tying up things and making sure things are happening at the right time and
Okay.
going perfectly and putting things together. So there's no other thing. There's you're occupied by the delivery.
Delivery, okay. And for Thug Life, actually, when I saw it, I felt the trailer was bold, raw, and actually different. And how was it tough enough, for you to make this film as a storyteller perspective and not as a director? What is the toughest part?
Any story is tough to tell. I think it has to be right in terms of the language of cinema, and you have to be, casted well and get good performance from people.
Yeah.
And you should have a team which is good, who are all willing to do the extra mile.
Okay.
And I've been lucky. I've
Okay.
worked with a lot of really good people who make my life easier.
Yeah, I'll come to that. But with you and Kamal sir, you have a long history. And when we're working with him again and collaborated with him, what was the familiar zone and what completely was new for you?
I don't think anything was really new. I think
Okay.
we've worked with him, and because you see him in several films, you always feel that you're in touch with him.
Okay.
So to me, it was not really
Right.
very different. And even when I was doing Nayakan with him, he gave us all the freedom. I mean, he was a huge star. We were like early stages of our career, but
Yes.
he just trusted us,
Yeah.
and the same trust holds
Yeah.
today.
Nice.
And therefore, it's kind of having a, a co-creator with you.
Yeah. That's what. How important is that, when you co-write with someone?
No, I think there are several ways of writing. Sometimes you can co-write, sometimes you can write on your own.
Okay.
I've done both.
Both.
So it is just that as long as you respect each other, as long as
Yeah.
I mean, it actually, if it's complementary and not contradictory, then it helps.
You and Kamal sir are known to push boundaries. And when you were shooting this film, something you had to rethink, which you strongly believed.
Everything, I think. you, when you get in and you're trying to create a scene, it's sometimes you start off with saying, I don't know how to shoot the scene.
Really?
And then find a way
Uh-huh.
and then make it organic.
Okay.
So it is not doesn't come with a preset
Okay. Yeah.
method by
Yes.
which
Yeah.
you search for that extra element
Yeah.
that will make it special,
Okay.
that will make it not just special, but will make it more authentic.
Okay.
That's what you search for.
Okay.
And I think that search is absolutely essential.
Okay.
Not for me, not sit back and say I know everything.
Okay.
And I did my first film. Before I got into it, I thought I knew everything. When I got into the first film, I realized that I didn't know much.
Yeah.
So I had to learn, and that still holds true. That you
Yeah.
still have to keep learning.
The word thug is completely global, right?
Yeah.
And your storytelling is deeply rooted in Indian tradition.
Yeah.
So, how did this word thug find in your own context?
Yeah, the thugs are all around the world. It's just
Good or
not a
bad?
global word, but it's all around. It just is a world.
Yeah.
They're really talking of the world.
Right.
And it's like a stage on which you mount a drama.
Right.
I mean, like I was saying, this world puts the stakes up. What the human drama that happens in this world is life and death.
Yeah.
So the stakes are much higher.
Much higher.
And therefore the drama becomes that much more cinematic.
Cinematic.
And it heightens the emotion.
Yeah.
So it's a good platform to mount
Yeah.
conflicts and other methods.
So today the universe is a trend, right? Making, I mean, the cinematic universe. So we all thought when you made Nayagan way back that there was a lot of talk that you might do something later about it. So how much is Thug Life an extension of Nayagan, or were you conscious enough to create this universe around it?
No, it's definitely not connected in any direct fashion. But because it's in the same genre, maybe there's one element which kind of one spark from Nayagan which is there, but it's otherwise a completely different set of characters, emotion, everything.
I heard a story, first day, first shot of Kamal sir. 18 retakes. Is it true?
No, sometimes you're trying something new to
Yeah.
set yourself
Yeah.
a certain amount of difficulty. Normally, I'm not one for too many takes.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I try to get the best out as early as possible.
Hmm.
But sometimes when you try something new and
Yeah.
you want to start off on the most difficult note,
Yeah.
then the rest becomes easier.
Yeah.
So we tried something which was technically
Huh.
a little more challenging,
Right.
and therefore it took that many
Yeah.
takes. But once we had it under our belt, then it became easier.
Correct. And you talked about the best people you worked with, and they are all superstars in their own field. But sometimes, I mean, they have already given you the best. So how do you make them outperform every time? So how do they raise the bar for you?
I think the script does it mostly, and the fact that we're all trying to do something which is genuine, which is beyond, not falling back on comfort, on things that we've tried before, but trying to see how we can make this ring true. Really, that is all. It's still a story. It's still put together.
Yeah.
Even if it's about a life, you still bring it down to 2 hours plus. And therefore, there's definitely an element of fiction that is brought into,
Right.
compressed. So it is not realistic. If I do something absolutely realistic,
Right.
then each conversation will go on endlessly. So it
It makes it.
yeah, cinema is a art of fiction. If I do only people talking to each other as they do in real life,
Right.
one scene will never end. So when you do that, it doesn't, it it just pushes you into trying to do your best. And I work with people who are looking for somebody who will also want something different.
A.R. Rahman, when I interviewed, he said his best songs are visualized through the lens of Mani sir and Shankar sir. So, but telling you the song process, right? Every time you have given the best. And how do you recreate that magic? Is it a struggle?
I think the way songs are consumed these days are very different.
Yeah.
Completely different. You have to be aware as a filmmaker. Today, the songs are consumed to a large extent on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean,
And Insta feeds.
before when they wanted to see a song, they had to come and watch the film. So today, to see a song, they don't have to come and watch the film. So the amount of time that is consumed in a narration for the visualization of a song
Yeah.
is changed. The pace at which we are telling a story has changed. The attention span has changed. So therefore, we have to constantly keep reinventing how to do songs. And we can't do what we did yesterday. I can't shoot songs like I did in Roja, for example. No, I mean things have changed. So we try to adapt it and see what is best for the film and use only that much.
Okay.
Not necessarily, the songs help the film, more
Yeah.
today than
Yeah.
it helps us to pitch it, to get the tone right and things like that. But it's not necessarily an item that stands out from the film.
Right. Exactly. And even your characters are often, I've seen that the characters deal with the identity. So how much is Kamal sir's character, that any change and struggle that character go through in Thug life?
If he didn't have change and struggle, the film wouldn't be there. A character has to have an arc,
Yeah.
and it has to face,
Yeah.
and it has to come to a resolution, and that entire journey becomes a film.
Right. Yeah.
It really boils down to that.
Right.
So it will be, and the advantage of an actor of Kamal's standard is that it makes my life easier, that he is able to bring in the nuances
Yeah.
and adds the whole world, makes the whole world more believable.
Right.
And you can almost see that character think. Not just say, but you can see him think, feel, everything.
Yeah. So, talking about your women characters, I know that you've spoken about it, but I've seen that there's a kusirdi or kurumba avarude kannukal, all these female actors, and they are vulnerable, but they are strong, they are bold, they're layered. So what is your approach, sir, when you're writing the women characters?
I don't think I try try to write women. I'm writing women characters. They just come and they're reflections of people I've seen around
Okay.
and their thought process. And a lot of it comes from what I've seen, what
Yeah.
I've read, what I've interacted with.
Right.
So it is not anything that you specially look for.
Yeah.
There are a lot of women in whom I've interacted with are all intelligent people, very intelligent, very smart, so capable.
Yeah.
So that's what reflects in my film. It's not what I do, it's what they do.
Your stories, when you have creating a Ponniyin Selvan, the history to life, and of course you also had given us modern love stories like Okay Kanmani or Alaipayuthey. So what is that pulls you, the canvas of the past or the complexity of the today's life?
I think both are difficult, both are different challenges.
Yes.
And you're happy to have a challenge.
Mm.
Makes it more exciting, makes it like you're jumping into a deep end and have to come out the other side. So that's what Ponniyin Selvan is completely different from what I've done before.
Yeah.
But it's been a passion for me. I like the book for many years, so it was great to do a thing. I'd never done a period film. I've always loved horses and sword fights and adventure and battles and things like that. So it was really wonderful to do that. It was a good experience. Whereas a film like Okay Kanmani is something that you reflect from what you see outside. I mean, that still have people. The people should be believable. You should believe the characters.
Right.
Their interaction should look genuine, and the resolution should somewhere reflect what is happening in the society around you.
Your stories often deals with deep emotion with strong socio-economic backdrop. So how do you start? Is it a moment, a message, or a character? How does it start?
I think you don't exist without the socioeconomic
Yeah.
background. Anything that you thought of or
Yes.
anything that you try to, create is in a world, and that world is with socio and economic issues. So it has to set in whether it is a 10th century or whether it's today or even tomorrow. It still is a part of that. So that automatically comes in. I mean, once you make characters, the characters live in time and space.
Right.
So that will get reflected. Otherwise, you don't have. Otherwise, it becomes very superficial.
In that, even a very massive movie like a Thug Life or a Ponniyin Selvan, how do you bring in that money source touch, which is that emotional depth across?
I don't look for anything which is money says touch. It's not. I mean, you're just trying to tell a story. You're trying to do the best you can.
Right.
And just your effort is just to make it as authentic as possible, as believable, that this is something that has happened or could have happened or may happen. It should fit into one of those categories. So that is what you search for. And sometimes you search for something magical which will make it push it closer to that. Maybe it's performance, maybe it is the music that plays in, it could be any of the tools that you have, but you should aim to push it closer to that.
So in that, when you are in a story, what keeps you going? Whether it's a chaos or an instinct or a silence or a discipline, how is that process?
I think it's a process which doesn't have a definition. Sometimes you have an idea, the next morning it just disappears. It looks like, what a terrible thing to think of. No, you just leave it. Sometimes you're very excited about it. You work on it up for a while, but you hit a roadblock and it doesn't move forward. So you put it in the back burner.
Okay.
And when you're doing the next film, maybe the answer for this might come to you. Okay. So it is not one. Some films just happen very fast. Some scripts, because of the dramatic condition that is around it, just falls into place naturally, very fast.
Anything that actually came in fast?
I think, say a film like Talapati, because it had Karna's story. It was so dramatic, the story is, Karna's life is, that anything you touch becomes a very strong scene.
Right, okay.
So it was much easier to,
Adapt
develop it and to make it to this context. So some are like that. Roja, for example, the crisis is so critical that it is, it flows, it takes you by itself.
Right. You have worked with multiple actors across generations, and what makes you think someone so unforgettable on screen? Any actor you think, whenever you can say, oh, it's an iconic scene or it's an iconic star. On what makes you think that is very truly unforgettable person?
I think if you can't make out the difference between the actor and the character, if it kind of perfectly blends in, that the actor is able to completely, make you believe. When I see Gandhi, I see Gandhi.
Yeah.
I mean, that is iconic.
Yeah. We
So
didn't see
that is
Ben
what I
Kingsley
look.
at all.
We don't see him. We see only Gandhi. So
Correct.
that's what you aim for.
Nice. Any of your films which is released in the past, you thought that, it was well ahead of time. If you had released this, now it's a time of re-releases, right? Do you think someone did not get it that time, but finally they do at this point of time?
Well, I look at it that this way, that some of the films that I have not maybe narrated it correctly, not said it in a way that it would reach. It's not that I was ahead of time.
Yeah.
Maybe I was, not saying it in the right words.
Right.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
And re-releasing is just a, art of economics. I mean,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
is for the business people. So that is their headache.
You have changed cinematographers, but you have not changed music director or editor for a long time.
No, I think cinematography is very, intense work while you're shooting. So it is like, I mean, you're really in a battle together. So it takes a lot of you and you working in tandem.
Right.
So it takes a lot of you, that it is an effort.
Right.
So it is good to have both of you to have breathing space and come back later.
Yeah.
Whereas with a music composer and with an editor, you're not working under pressure.
Yeah.
You have time to work with, and you have, I mean, you put it slowly together.
Right.
So we are not under pressure cooker. So we can easily travel.
In the current times, when there is a lot of restrictions on the freedom of speech, the way we display our creativity and a lot of things in social media and kind of. So when you are writing, are you conscious that someone is overlooking at you and that restricts you?
I mean, the British came and left a censor board behind. Okay. From that time, there has been. You have to be, you can't, close your eyes and think, say, I'm in a free world, I can say anything I want.
Yeah.
There are restrictions. There are, I mean, it is there in different forms in different parts of the world.
Right.
Somewhere where it's more intense, but still they manage to make great cinema. I mean, sometimes those restrictions make you more creative, and Iran does it. There's so many other, Eastern European films that were being classics have all come out of a restricted regime. So I think that is no excuse for not being able to produce your best.
And coming about Malayalam movie,
Yeah.
I know that you watch a lot of movies, and I have heard that you have quoted somewhere that you are more a viewer than a director.
Yeah.
So what kind of movies excites you?
I think anything better than mine excites me. Something which I've not done, something which is very, I mean, there's no particular kind, in sense, but it's something that, works for me as a whole is what I look for.
Like an arm janta like me can walk out of a theater if I don't like the movie. But you cannot, because people say, Mani sir also walked out. So have you been in those kind of situations?
No, I ask you whether I should walk out or not before I go in. So if you say you walked out, then I'll think twice before I go in.
That's a good one. And 1984, you made Unaru in Malayalam.
Right.
And then, we have been Aurangafied with no Mani Ratnam Malayalam films. We have been Tungafied. When are you giving us a Malayalam film with that Mani sir's
No,
wake-up
I
touch?
really wanted to do a film with MT sir, and I met him a couple of times. We thought a few things. It just didn't happen. I mean, he started working on a script and it didn't happen. And Bombay originally was started as a Malayalam film with the Malayalam producer.
Okay.
And that didn't happen. So it's not for lack of attempt.
Correct, agree. And if I have to recreate a scene, which is Hasini told me in her interview that you and her, that she will be typing your thought process, you will be sitting around in a court with a lot of cushions, and this healthy debate happens. So do you win an argument at home?
Never. Never. So I skipped the arguments.
Yeah. So I said, I feel that you're a man of few words, but she said, no, you will be hearing a lot of laughter when you talk to Ilayaraja sir or so. So when do you see the other side of Mani sir, to only very close set of people?
There's no other side. It's just the same thing, which is...
But what does a Mani sir set looks like? I was told that there was no small talks. People come, focus, work, go.
There's chaos in my set. There's screaming and shouting. I do all the screaming and shouting.
That Jairam showed, no. And so for Thug Life, or for you or for Kamal sir, there is nothing to prove at all, right? We have shown the best and the best of work for us. So, but what will Thug Life prove?
We don't start a movie to prove something. You
Yeah.
know, that's not.
Right.
You want to start a movie because you want to talk about the emotions of characters. You
Right.
want to bring characters alive on screen
Right.
and go through their journey. That is all you try to do.
Right.
There's nothing to prove.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it didn't. Nobody has anything to prove. You know, I mean, they are what they are, and they make what they make.
Yeah.
So there's nothing like wanting. I'm not doing it for somebody else. I'm doing it for myself.
This was my question, thinking whenever you work with A.R. Rahman or even Shrikar Prasad, so they are these superstars. So maybe you are the one person who can tell Rahman sir that and the two enakku pidikave illa, which nobody else dare not to do, right?
Oh no, well, anyone can say it with Rahman. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
He's somebody who is totally a director's
Right.
composer, and he will not, take it personally. He will just think it is not right for you.
Yeah.
He doesn't think that you're passing a judgment on the tune.
Right.
So he'll leave it aside and go with you.
Right.
So there's absolutely no. I think he's really that way a gem. Any director, is really a director's dream.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to do a biopic on Mani Ratnam sir, whom do you want that you should act?
Please don't do it.
All the best. I'm so grateful for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you.